If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This has been another episode sponsored by Online Horse College. If you haven't had a look at the wide variety of equine-specific accredited courses, then go to onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there. Our conversation at Horse Chats today has been brought to you by Equitana, who are now celebrating 20 years of bringing Australian horse lovers everything they love, including equine entertainment, exhibition and competition. So join us on the 15th to the 18th of November in the heart of Melbourne to witness a packed program including full flight, dressage freestyle, all-star The Way of the Horse and an Australian show jumping record attempt which has been held for almost 39 years, as well as the best in equine retail therapy with more shops than Melbourne Central. Have a look now, equitana.com.au. Now, getting back to our guest today is Glenys Holloway, who's got a dressage horse that she's competing. Nothing different about that 17-hand grey horse, apart from the fact that this horse is a standardbred. And I'd like to introduce Jenny, who not only is a coach and a horse person, has been for quite a long time, but we'd like to talk in particular about her grey Phoenix Flight and other standardbreds that she might have talked and had in contact. How are you today, Jenny?
Good, thanks, Glenn. Yourself?
Good. Jenny, I don't think we've actually had anyone with a focus or done a focus on standardbreds within Horse Chats, and we're sort of approaching 400 episodes, but, I'm really keen to talk to you today about this. Now, normally we ask favourite quote first, so what have you got for your favourite quote?
I have a lovely little saying that I say to everyone. I'm the kindest, softest, nicest rider this side of the black stump, as long as my horse is doing exactly what I ask.
Okay, yep.
I get a few laughs with that one.
Yes, and I think that's all about, we always want the horse to do exactly as we ask. They don't necessarily always get
exactly.
it, but I suppose that's what we're working towards, aren't we? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Now, Jenny, instead of just starting to talk about how you started with horses, I really would like to focus on the standardbreds. How did you start with standardbreds? What was your first contact with them? What was the first time you decided to get one, to train them, have any contact?
Well, Glenys, I started with standardbreds quite by accident. In all honesty, I could have started as an 8-year-old girl. My family is all into harness racing, has been like I was going to the drops when I was a baby, and you'd think I would naturally get into them, but no, it happened by accident. Probably about 8 years ago, I had a lovely big warm blood and a lovely thoroughbred, and the thoroughbred got old, and I needed a paddock mate for the warm blood. And a friend of mine said, this beautiful horse in the paddock next door, and they just want him to go to a good home. And I said, what's wrong with him? And they said, he's a standardbred. I went, no, not interested. Go away. Anyway, I did. I picked him up, brought him home, and I just went, you're a big mate, you can stay there. And as it turns out, the warm blood needed a couple of months off, pulled a few muscles, as they do. And I looked at this and went, well, what can you do? Well, this fellow was what they call a square gaiter, a trotter, not a pacer. Uh-huh. And I started riding him and had more pleasure riding him than what I got riding warm blood. Mm-hmm. He was interested. He wanted to learn. He tried. He didn't fight me half as much as the warm blood. Took a lot of work to get him to canter, but we did. We finally got there. And that fellow went on to win. I moved back up to Queensland after that. And he went on to win prep, premium, novice out in the standardbred world and in the open world. But he was very flat in his movement. And a friend of mine also got a standardbred called Phoenix Flight, or L's Blue Boy was his race name. And he's a big horse, really big, solid fellow. And she ended up having heart problems and phoned me and said, "Oh, can I send him to you?" I said, "Yeah, not a prob." I think he arrived on the Wednesday. There was a hack comp, standardbred only, on the Sunday, and he took out Supreme and hasn't looked back from there.
Wow, wow. Now, just to people who may not know what a standardbred is, because at the moment we're just talking about a horse and it may be any breed, tell us a bit about standardbreds. What's the difference? You know, you talk to us about square gating, pacing, even a little bit about the history of standardbreds and why people don't want them, why you turned up your nose at the thought of having a standardbred in your paddock.
Yeah, it's so true. Okay, so you've got... they're the ones that are in the little racing gigs that go around with the drivers at the back at the paveway.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got two sorts. You've got what we call the square gators or the trotters, and they actually trot, and they'll only have hobbles on the front of their legs. They need them. Other than that, they're usually free-legged. Then you've got the pacers, and their legs work laterally. So near fore, near hind will work together with the off fore and the off hind. So they move like a train. They don't trot.
So in 2 beats.
In 2 beats.
Yep.
They're still in 2 beats, but their legs work differently. So the first thing you've got to do when you get one of these standardbreds is you've got to teach to trot, not to pace, which is a fair call on its own. These horses have probably had a bit of a tune-up if they have tried to trot, and the owners or the trainers would probably go, "Oh, no, you don't, boy." So it's a whole new world for them to say, "Yep, we can now trot." And again, to say to them, "Yes, you can now canter." It's a whole new world. The biggest challenge actually with a standardbred is probably getting them to bend through the body. They've had shafts down both sides of their bodies, and quite often they've had something on the neck to stop them from turning their head. So they're a very, very straight horse, and they turn very, very straight. Really, really good doing pirouettes because they'll just turn on their legs really easily. But the rest of it doesn't happen.
Okay. What about teaching? You know, you talked about a square-gated horse and a pacer. Teaching them to canter then. You know, what techniques or what do you use then to teach them to canter?
Oh, my goodness. There's so many out there. I do them on their back. A lot easier, I think, if you do it on the lunge. You may need like a little pole on the ground or something if they're trotting around to pop them up into the canter rhythm. They won't hold it for very long when they first try it, and you'll find that they'll get gangly-legged in the back legs, and it just takes time to let them know that they can do it and they're allowed to do it. A lot of people will actually go and teach their horse to jump, and you'll quite often find that they'll pop into a little canter after a jump, and then you try and keep it going for as long as you can. I tend to teach them on their back, and I have found with a pacer, once you teach them to trot, it isn't that hard. It's terrible teaching when I say this, but you can actually run them into a canter.
Yeah, okay,
yep. The pacers, once they trot, they will go up into a canter easier than the trotter. Trotter, you can't run them into a canter because they can trot way faster than what you can ever get them to break into a canter.
Yes.
So a trotter is a whole different ball game again. Definitely your ground poles when you're jumping them up into that sort of an action.
Yes, and they can trot quite fast. I can remember we were teaching at the Racing Industry Training Centre, and we had a lot of the apprentice jockeys and the trainees going, and they'd be doing a bit of a hand gallop and have the old thoroughbreds that they'd be on. And then we did happen to have a pacer at one stage, and the pacer would be going along the same speed as what the thoroughbreds were doing as a hand gallop. So, yeah, they can certainly get a bit of a pace.
They can move, these boys.
So if someone would like to get an ex-pacer or a standardbred, what about before they're gated? Is there any difference?
No, some of them will have it in them naturally.
Yep.
You could pick up a 2-year-old that's never raced and can still pace you. Some of them have it in them naturally. It is bred through the genes. Some may never pace. You put them under saddle and they never pace, and you sort of wonder if they ever really were one.
Yep.
But if anyone ever wanted to get a standardbred and wanted to have a go at the breed, there's a wonderful group in Queensland called the Standardbred Association of Queensland. They actually have an adoption section where people can just apply. The Standardbred is a harder horse to rehome than the Thoroughbreds. Everyone wants the Thoroughbreds, and they already walk, trot and canter. So the challenge isn't as great with them. But with the Standardbred, there is a little bit more to them, and we do find rehoming them isn't as easy. The adoption program is there to support anyone who wants to adopt a Standardbred. Most of them are what we call straight rehoming, and there's probably, a couple of fees to join the association.
Okay, that's good. And what about just thinking now, because we usually talk about core skills or character traits for people to work in the horse industry, but the type of person to train a Standardbred? They'd have to have a certain amount of experience, wouldn't they, with horses? What sort of person would you recommend that they contact the association or even look at getting a Standardbred?
I think very few people that are rather well educated in, say, retraining in any way. Actually enough, they're not the ones that look at Standardbreds. I've been riding since I was 8, and I'm in my 60s now. So I've been riding for a very, very long time. And the Standardbred does have a stigma, and I really don't know why. Because once you retrain them, they're so well handled on the ground. Their manners are way better than any Thoroughbred off the track. They're quite an amazing, well-mannered horse. As far as the type of people that usually adopt them, most of them are learner riders coming in to learn about riding and to have a horse to ride. The Standardbred is extremely well known for trail riding because of the temperament. They used to take most things in their stride without a blink.
What about competitive endurance riding? How do they go with that?
Yes, we've got some of them out there even doing endurance riding. Again, they're such a versatile breed. There's someone that was doing cutting. There was another one doing camp drafting. They are suitable for absolutely anything. They are also extremely well known for their ability to jump.
Yes, yes.
Think of a fellow down in Victoria, Bruce Smith. He actually had a Standardbred that he was jumping, and he said the horse could do absolutely anything. The only problem that he had was a combination. The horse would land, pace, and still jump the second half of the combination. But he said it would be better if I could just keep him cantering. He said, I just had a few problems on that one.
Yeah,
but so he's a well-known show jumper in his day, and he was jumping Standardbreds.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Is there anyone else that you think you'd like to talk about who's influenced, who's got a bit of an idea of how to train Standardbreds? I think you talked about Kathleen Mullins, who'd won a Gary Owen on a Standardbred. She might not have won it. She just competed the Standardbred.
She did. She had the first Standardbred entered in the Gary Owen. And look, she is definitely a girl, I think, of the Standardbred world. She is just such an achiever and such a fantastic ambassador for the breed. She's really good. I think she's going to be Equitana as well. So she's definitely someone to go and talk to. If anyone's ever thinking of having a play with the Standardbred, go and talk to Kathleen. She'll most certainly tell you all about them.
Okay.
Big plug for Kathleen.
Oh, yes. So when people first get a Standardbred, what do you think's a big fault that they do or something, and I'm thinking this is education, because if people are thinking about getting a Standardbred, what's something that people might normally do that you would say, no, don't do that, do this?
Well, it really depends on what someone wants to achieve with Standardbred.
Yep.
I find most people that go into the Standardbred are happy to jump, learn to ride on a fairly well-behaved, quiet horse that will put up with a lot of rubbish. Like, you can do all sorts of things on a Standardbred, and they tend to go, oh, yeah, don't care. So it's maybe their nature that people go for. From there, I have found once people get a Standardbred, they then sort of go, gee, I really like this horse to trot and not pace. And then they'll start working on that. And they'll ask questions like the associations up here in Queensland. In fact, associations anywhere in Australia are more than happy to point people in the right direction. Go and talk to this person. They'll put you on the right track to help you get your horse trotting.
Yep.
Or you might even, go to someone for a lesson and go, well, you've retrained Standardbreds. here, can you get my horse to trot? And then sort of start figuring out what buttons we need to push on that particular horse for him to understand that we now want him to trot instead of pace. But most people go for standardbreds because of their nature. They're just a willing horse.
What about the buttons you do need to push? You know, I mean, is it to start to do some lateral work to encourage them to just step that inside hind, you know, across? Is it some trot poles? Is it a variety of different exercises? Have you got any that you particularly like?
Oh, Glenys, I love that one. Lateral work on a standard first start is just something they don't know, and they just go, you've got to be kidding. What on earth are you talking about? A lot of things. So what do I do when I first get a standardbred and get them to trot? What we do, we lunge them. We always lunge them before we get on our back. My daughter-in-law, Briley, and I have put a lot of standardbreds under saddle up here. We do them together because she's 21 or 22 and she's amazing for a test pilot. I like to throw her up first. She's way more agile. But we've never yet had a standardbred that we've got on and gone, this one worries us.
Okay.
Every single one that we've got on, we've just kept going, and you just keep riding. So they haven't been a hassle to put under saddle. But we lunge them, and we lunge them a fair bit before we even get their back. And then, of course, you put a saddle and lunge them with the saddle as well. And then you let the stirrups stop, and you make sure that nothing's going to worry them because they've never had anyone up behind their ears. That's the main thing that worries them. And in this lunging process, we always figure out how to trot in the lunging process.
Okay, yep.
So then what happens when we take them up into the arena after the lunging process, we use voice commands. And whatever voice commands we've used in the lunging ring, we use them when we go out into the arena. And we find most of our horses in their early days will totally work off voice commands, and then you start to put them with your voice commands, and then they start to understand and put it together, and then you can try your voice commands. So it's all just step by step. And once you've got them trotting, it's just repetition from there on. And every time they pace, you go, no, bring them back, put them back up into a trot again. And it eventually becomes the norm for them, and they do give the pacing away. Even with that big grey with Phoenix, now he can camp 10-metre circles, which is pretty up with standardbred, apparently. But even with him, and now he's been under saddle for, probably 8 years, 6 years. And even with him, if I start teaching something new, like the first time, it's been a long time now since he's paced on me. But even in his training days, if I started introducing something new, he went, I've got no idea what you're asking me to do. I've got no idea how to do it. He'll go back to his pace.
Okay.
He'll go, asking me for something, this is the only other thing I can
That's
think of.
the response,
for you,
yes.
and you've just got to go, you just got to go, no, that's not what I was asking for. So let's come back to baby steps, and we'll just do one step of it. Let's keep going, one step, and then slowly introduce it another way.
Okay.
So I guess in a way, compared to normal horses that you ride, if these horses don't understand something, they come back to a pace, where other horses might sort of put in a pig root or a bit of a buck or a bit of a, I'm out of here or whatever. I think these horses have a very gentle way of communicating. I don't understand what you want.
Yep. If you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now, have a look, horsechats.com. So for standardbreds in general, you said before that there was a bit of a stigma attached. How can people get rid of that stigma? How are you planning on getting rid of the stigma? How's the association planning on getting rid of the stigma? Is that just getting more horses out there and competing, or is there something else?
I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. Definitely. We have people like Kathleen Mullins in standardbreds out there. I can only really speak on the Queensland ones. We have Felicity Renke. Her standardbred is an AA or ASA registered, and does all the halves and wins, and that's standardbred winning and open shows. Big Grey. I go to a lot of local dressage comps. Everyone knows Big Grey's a Standardbred, and they're all still amazed. And he wins against warm bloods, and he beats a lot of lovely breeds.
Yep.
And that's getting the Standardbreds out there. A lot of people are now starting to look at them, and they're starting to go, gee whiz, they really can do all this. We've got people like, in the cutting world, they're doing well. Basically, I feel like personally, we need to get so many people out there with horses that are of a good quality and are competitive against normal horses to show everyone just what they can do. Another lady, Doris Mathis, she's in Queensland as well. She goes in the open hack classes with her bred.
Yep.
And she's done very well against them.
Yep. What about books? Have you got a book that you can recommend? Anything on training? Has anyone written a book on training Standardbreds?
Oh, I think Nicole from Raising the Standards has a very master series out. She's put out on Standardbreds.
Mm-hmm.
My favourite book would have to be 101 dressage exercises, because that's what the Standardbred needs, all that bending, all that, just follow your nose sort of stuff, move my leg, and it's all stuff they've never been exposed to. So you're starting with something pretty raw.
Yep. And remember, you can find all the books recommended by our guests at horsechats.com/books. You can have a look at the guest page for the individual book they recommended, or just look at the recommended books by order of popularity at horsechats.com/books. All right, now what's the plans for Phoenix Flight? What have you got planned for him, or what have you got coming up? Have you got any other young horses coming up? What's your plans at the moment?
Well, actually, I have a black horse.
Mm-hmm.
His racing name is Well-to-Do Lombo, and he's in the process of learning how to canter. He's only been under saddle this year, and he's already been to 2 competitions, 2 dressage comps. That was a Standy own, and he won both. So I think he's going to be up there when he finally puts the canter together. Next year, obviously, I'm really going to hit the shows with him. I think he's a good-looking horse. Something else as well, the Standardbreds have changed. If you remember the old Standardbred, they had a particular shape to them. They had the big box head and usually a very nice-looking body.
Yep.
Well, that is totally changing. Mm-hmm. The breed, I think, is becoming much, much nicer looking. A lot of them look like thoroughbreds now. This black one I've got now, his show name is Mr. Darcy. He really looks like a thoroughbred. You would not think him to be a Standardbred at all. He's got a lovely head, lovely body, and nice legs.
Yep.
Whereas if you ever look at Steve when he goes out, you would look at him and go, God, he's got a head. So, bred head. But once you put a bridle and saddle on him and he works, he has got the most amazing movement.
Okay. So, Jenny, just in a couple of sentences, can you summarise your philosophy about Standardbreds? Just if someone's thinking about getting another horse, recommending a horse, just that might get them to change their mind, or just not even change their mind, but to have a look and be a little bit open about considering a Standardbred.
I'd have to say, why not look at one and give it a go? You've got nothing to lose. They're not an expensive horse to buy, and I think their natures are really good. If I may just add, Glenys, Grey Horse has been a marvellous ambassador for the Standardbred.
Yep.
He jumps. He even does sporting, believe it or not, at no great speed.
Yep.
He's really good at dressage. He's really good at hacking, and he's got the most loveliest nature. He's just an rounder. Oh, I also put him in a cart as well and do buggy classes. Well, I didn't have to training for that. I just had to sit behind him and go, just trot slowly now, please.
Yeah.
So, give them a go. They're worth a go. They're worth a thought.
Good. And, Jenny, if people would like to contact you, what's the best way? We'll have those details on your page, which will be horsechats.com/Jenny Holloway, or go to horsechats.com and search for Jenny, search for Holloway. But if they'd like to contact you direct, what's the best way?
Oh, I guess Facebook or Messenger, either of those work. It's all a modern world, isn't it?
Yes. And we'll have all those details. Yeah, we'll put all those details at the bottom of that page as well, so if people would like to contact you. Yeah. Jenny, very good talking to you. You know, I think, as I said, you're the first one that we've had that's really focused on the Standardbred. And I think it's extra information to people. You know, people who haven't considered a Standardbred might, just as you say, have a look, you know, consider it, and not an expensive buy, and good temperaments as well. So I'd love to have you back to talk a little bit more about your successes and a bit more about Standardbred. So hopefully we'll see you back again sometime soon.
Thank you very much, Glenys. I probably rambled on a bit because I think I am a little bit passionate about them, because I have been riding pretty well all my life, and I've been through the variety of breeds, and I've never known a breed to be so well. So
yes,
I'm finding them very, very enjoyable.
Yeah, and good to come in with that open, you know, having experienced other breeds to recommend the Standardbred. All right, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Glenys. And have a good time, Equitana.
You too, Jenny. Now, if you're still there, you probably know that I'm absolutely passionate about education within the horse industry. That's why I host this podcast. My other venture is Online Horse College. Have a look now at onlinehorsecollege.com, and I'll see you over there.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.